I want to give thanks to Great Creator and to Pachamama, to all of our benefic guides out there of the north, the east, the west, the south, above, below, and within our sacred hearts. We ask our guides to be here with us now. Blessings and peace to all beings. This is Yahira Lobos, and I am so grateful to share a little bit about how to be grateful during this time of such extreme duality. Duality meaning the opposite of love is hate, white, black, up, down, happy, sad, right? Good, bad, good, evil, quiet, loud, right? Duality, the opposite, polarity. The ability for all of humanity to step into the best versions of who we are, we must approach duality that is coming at us to mirror exactly what it is that we need to know and learn. In the spiritual communities and all around the globe, in every sector of this planet, whether it was in finances and the economic system, whether it was in education, or whether it was the spiritual communities or the medical field or the educational field, every system on the planet, every community, all cultures, all religions have duality. There is that which is of the light and feels good and is of the heart, has clarity, speaks truth and wisdom in volumes. And then there's the duality of all that good, great, fun, yum stuff, which we call the shadow. And in the shadow, we see this duality as a way of being attacked for not being loved for who we are. We may feel that others are judging us for having a difference of opinion, a different perspective or belief, especially right now in 2023 as we approach December. We are in the time of the autumn, and in the autumn, in the medicine wheels, we celebrate the direction of the west. The element associated with the west is the water. And it is in this time that we go within to rejuvenate, reset, recalibrate, rethink, reorganize. How can we go forward in next year to be more successful, more organized, have more fun, take more time out with your family, for yourself, for your healing? And so in the West, in the autumn, in the medicine wheel, we hibernate and we look at the way that we have thought, the way that we have spoken, the way that we have acted. And we are now in the West. It is the time of adulthood. The medicine wheel is the sacred hoop of life, or the astrology wheel, the calendar of life. The medicine wheel represents the sacred circle, honor in every direction that all of humanity is going through. We all have a north, an east, a west, a south, above, below. In the center of earth is below. Mother Earth's heart is below. And then within is our sacred hearts. And right now we are being asked to look at the way that we think, because whatever we think in our minds can and will, if you think it enough times, will create a emotion. And our emotions are energy in motion. You take these mental thoughts in our mind and we start to feel them in our hearts based on what we're thinking in our minds. So if I think that I'm not lovable, and I can't stop thinking that, everybody who's going to come up to me is going to treat me like I'm unlovable. And even though we are perfect in great creator's divine design, in other words, we are perfectly perfect in this imperfect world, just as we are. And whenever there's a duality or a polarity, or we are being triggered by another person's energy or words, and we feel that they're judging us, there's a moment that we all have to really think about how we're going to respond to that individual. And for many of us human beings on the earth right now, we have all experienced a tremendous amount of trauma, drama, abuse, disrespect. The family's dynamics in general, from family to family, all across the board, 7 billion people on the planet. I have never met a perfect family in harmony. There are those that are super privileged and entitled, and they may not know suffering like many others. But I never met a family really, truly, that didn't have its dynamics of love and hate between the family members, of good and bad, or he did this, she did this. You know, there's a lot of shame, a lot of blame, a lot of guilt that we learn from the beginning of time when we're children. And this creates trauma within our being if we didn't deal with those confrontations or events that took place that are considered to be abusive or traumatic, where many of us were also children and were highly neglected and abused. So I, Yahira Lobos, am a recovering addict, and it's 10 years that I'm sober this year from steady use of alcohol and hard drugs, especially cocaine slash the rock. Okay. And not to say that I'm embarrassed of who I am. It takes a lot of courage to speak one's truth, especially about stuff like that. But I share that all with you because my past was drenched in separation and abandonment. I lost my mother at the age of 9 years old to leukemia. My mother was such a beautiful woman. This is Josephine Frances Saldivar Di Giorgio, and she's my Mexican American mother, whose family comes from Mexico. They originate from San Luis Potosi. And part of my whole story is, you know, I suffered a lot when I was young. My father was an alcoholic, and he had a really hard time with his trauma. His father and mother, they migrated from Italy to New York City. My father grew up in Harlem, and my mother grew up in the Lower East Side. And I speak of this because they had histories. More than likely, a lot of you who have parents that were born in New York City, that had parents that migrated from another country, a lot of you can relate to what I'm saying right now. I was born and raised in Rockland County, upstate New York, but I was raised by two parents who had a lot of trauma. Both of them had a lot of siblings, and their parents were addicts. And we had some really touchy, sad situations that took place with my grandparents where they suffered, and we witnessed them living in misery and pain. And I am a witness to witnessing my mother, my father, many of my aunts and uncles and grandparents not having a good life, being very stressed out, having a very huge pain body, not being happy with their significant other, their husband or wife, being caught up in loveless relationships and marriages. Many of my folks literally had that 9 to 5 job that they hated going to. They didn't love what they did. They did what they did to pay the bills at the end of the day. So there was a lot of separation in my life before I was even born from my own cultures and religions. And there's a lot of trauma that has been passed down from generation to generation, from my grandparents to my parents to me and my siblings. And I have a lot of compassion for people that were raised with parents who suffered depression. My father was on a pharmaceutical drug most of his life, and so was my mother. For both of them suffered depression. My father was an alcoholic, and my mother eventually died of leukemia. My father, in the end, had Parkinson's and dementia, and I had to watch him wither away in an old age home, which was very painful. All this information that came to me, though, at a really young age and throughout my life taught me a lot about human suffering. And so when people like myself enter a sacred circle or a conversation, a Zoom online meeting with other collaborators and visionaries, when I go to schools and I'm in classes with my community, when I'm going to a party or going to a celebratory event, there are other people that I'm working with, learning with, and collaborating, communicating with. And when I share my truth as a human being, often I'm a New Yorker, I'm sure in what I'm saying, I'm confident in what I'm saying, just like I am right here. I have a flow of words that continue to come out. So I feel like I'm in my power. I appear confident in what I'm saying because always what I'm speaking is my truth in the moment. But my truth could possibly irritate, irk, upset, or anger or frustrate another human being where they are feeling that I am being disrespectful based on the vocabulary or the tone or the environment that I speak these words in. And so we're being asked to be really mindful about how other people are going to respond to our truth and our beingness, our authentic self. And many times that I'm speaking, as I enter these beautiful rooms and circles and communities, I am often hit with the other side of what I just said. I somehow strike other people with my way of communicating to sometimes feel that I am disrespecting them or I'm projecting whatever is going on inside of me to them. And that definitely can and has happened in my life. In my younger years, even as I got sober, and even now, I need to be careful that I don't project my hurt feelings upon another human being, right? And so, how do we know the difference of whether we're projecting our feelings upon another or not? How do we respond to another human being that may not enjoy our presence or what we just shared as in words? How do we respond to that? And I believe that one of the most healthiest ways that we can actually go forward in today's day, because there's so much conflict, especially online, there's a lot of arguments, people are taking sides in politics and even in our own spiritual families and our own communities and homes. We're finding all these difference of opinions. They can cause separation. People are getting mad and they're running away from that which they think is separate from them. And let me tell you that in this community that I live and breathe with my soul brothers and sisters, I consider myself to be a very huge part of North America's spiritual communities. I'm not part of one of them, I'm part of all of them. I consider myself to be one with all. But as I travel, there are times that I seem very confident to others, and I have been attacked more times than I'd like to admit. So, learning how to be in the Sacred Heart is just taking a moment and a time to reflect and pause. And this happened for me just recently, where I was astonished by the way that somebody was responding to me. And a lot of what they were saying was an assumption that they knew who I was, what I do, and how I do it. And I got triggered because they were assuming that I was doing something that's harmful to many other people. And they were saying this on a public social media platform that was being recorded for many others to see. And there was this moment where this person was just going at it. For a few moments, I asked a question because Great Creator wanted me to ask a question. Sometimes the questions that I'm asking a specific person isn't what I Francine DeGiorgio, am thinking that I'm asking. Great Creator, my higher self right now, as an oracle, as a conduit, as the hollow bone, as I take unifying us very seriously in the Sacred Heart, I will be used as a hollow bone. So Great Creator had me ask a particular question to kind of bring out the projections of this other. And I got hit with it and I was surprised. But I kind of knew that this is what this person was thinking and feeling and brewing within their being. And what I was able to do was really ask Great Creator, can you bring me into the Sacred Heart? Can I see this other as another me? And how can I speak directly to the heart of this individual and ask if they could open their eyes and their heart to see me? And so I did that. I don't feel that, and I was surprised because I thought that that would work. But if somebody's really set in their own perspective or beliefs, and you ask a question that will divulge the truth, or you make a statement that is identifying your truth, that again could really trigger them. And I believe that that's what happened. And so you can get caught up in a banter of a conversation with somebody where you're trying to clarify what your real intentions in your heart and who you are is all about. But at the same time, I'm asking Great Creator, do we have to describe who we are and go back and forth with this banter? Because I just kept pissing off this individual. And they eventually texted me that they thought I was projecting and I was being disrespectful of their own ways of thinking and being, which was never the issue. But how can we go forward in the communities knowing that we are coming from our sacred truth, and our sacred truth will change as we emerge from our own shadow, and we're being asked to do our shadow work and stop projecting to other people by telling them who they are. That's where this individual told me I was being disrespectful, and they showed me, see, you didn't do that. You didn't point your finger and make the other person wrong for the conversation that was had. And that individual just did that to you. So the way that Great Creator wanted me to handle it was to send a message, be clear, and say, I love you, because that is another version of me that needs to know we are all one. And so I may not be present in these other, in I may not decide going forward to choose to be a part of a co-creative collaborative project where half of the people do not support me, like me, or love me. This is something that is very personal. Everybody can choose how they want to go forward. I do know that we need to end separation. So by not running away from the people that trigger me and speaking from my sacred heart and sharing something with them that will complete my lesson and blessing, that Great Creator is showing me that they are my mirror, that we are one. And so there might be a moment where somebody lashes out, where I was in a good mood, but they lash out. There may be some parts of myself that needs to accept the parts of me that are just as angry as that person in the way that they lashed out at me, and that I can hold space for that person to transmute, transcend all darkness back to light. I don't have to address that individual. I don't have to tell them what I feel that they did was wrong. I'm learning that today. Today, this is my big lesson, that I don't always have to point out where people are wrong about their ideas about me. I don't have to point out every person's projection, judgment, or insult that they are desiring to project upon me. And the final way that we can protect ourselves of the utmost highest is by bowing into our sacred heart, taking a moment to ask our inner child, what can I do for you right now? What is it that you need? What is it that you feel? And allow yourself to be in that vibration of that feeling, feel it all the way through. And then the way that we can heal that is replacing it with the truth. So an example of that would be if I had a conversation and I felt somebody was projecting at me and said, you are being disrespectful and not kind to me. What I would do is ask my inner child, what did that feel like? It feels like whenever I speak truth or ask questions or share myself, I'm going to be attacked for being in the heart. And Great Creator tells me in that moment, that is true. So let's just not engage with that individual that's showing you where they're at. And if you allow yourself to ask yourself, to my inner child, do you desire to go back into that portal in this room with those others that may also dislike you and not be all for you? And my inner child tells me, it's a setup. Not everybody in that group likes me. And I feel really uncomfortable because I just want to love everybody here. And a lot of these people aren't doing their shadow work and they're projecting into me because I have a voice. I have a heart. And when the people who have a heart get attacked, especially the people that have been abused the most, like myself, I'm a survivor. It's very easy for us to lash out on those individuals. In fact, I can destroy a person just like that. Where I come from, where I'm born and raised, people hate it. They didn't love me. And I was a child. And I was raised with bullies and narcissists and evil people that were part of a system where they were privileged and entitled, wealthy, stuck up, snotty, all of that. And I despised it my entire life. But when I'm seeing that this energy is about and around me, if that's in a group, I have to ask my inner child, do you desire to be in that group? And when I asked my inner child that earlier today, she said, Mommy, no. I really don't like being attacked. It feels awful. I'd much rather me and you go play somewhere and enjoy who we are. We don't have to prove anything to anybody. Let them figure it out themselves. We have something else to do. We have to write a book. Don't let these people distract me from who I really am. Now I have to go in and banter back and forth with people that I don't have to prove who I am to. So I have a choice to bow out. And this is what Great Creator shows me. And then the even bigger, more evolved thing would be to not bow out and to stay present because I'm in the heart. And if other people can't be in the sacred heart, eventually Great Creator is going to show everybody who's not in the sacred heart. And if they're assuming a position of leadership and authority, especially a spiritual leader, I can guarantee you by next year, the Kachinas will be enforcing sacred law, removing all those beings that are not of the sacred heart. And it feels like somebody like myself, who's a recovered addict and, a voice for North America, as I traveled around North America for 10 years, all I did was listen to other people and promote them for what they had to offer. And I saw that as I was traveling from city to city and state to state, that many of the spiritual leaders and those that were in the hierarchy that had influence over others were being very disrespectful, unkind, and manipulative, because they were in a position of power, they were privileged and entitled, and therefore there's a corruption in all of the systems of this world, including the spiritual communities. And so right now, no matter where we go, we're going to be confronted with the duality and the polarity of who we are. And as we look in the mirror and we get hit with something that doesn't feel good, all we need to do is just lean into that. I bow into my sacred heart as a reminder. As I touch my body, I am allowing myself to ground and physically connect to my own being. I always put my hand on my solar and I put one hand on my heart. Why? Because my solar is where my power emanates from, and my heart is the energy I love with. And so I am asking to circulate the energy between my solar and heart. And then there will be other times that I'll be asked to do the heart and mind, or the heart and the sacral. Solar, sacral is belly, and the root is further down. So I place my hands according to the energy center that is needing to balance with my heart. My crown, if there's too much energy, crown and heart, third eye and heart, throat and heart, solar and heart, sacral and heart, root and heart. And so I'll just do this like a couple of seconds of grounding into feeling my body and allowing my spirit guides. I call them in. I say, Great Creator, please connect me to my higher self, connecting me directly to the Father. And then in this next breath, I ask Great Creator to send my energy down into the earth. And I do a little exercise, whether it's EFT, even though others may not see me for who I am safe. Even though others are seeing me as projecting and disrespectful and unkind, I am kind, I am respectful, I am in the heart. Or you can do the reverse EFT that I often do, where I say no negative statement. And I would this is the way I do EFT. So the way that I just showed you is the way that if you go to emotional freedom tap-in, which is a use of your fingertips, using acupressure all over the body, okay? Anywhere you touch your body, you're bringing in knowledge and wisdom and evolving those senses to connect us more directly to the Father and the Mother, and the knowing that we are all one. So in a moment that I get triggered, I place my hand on my heart. In this case, I might place a hand on my sacral, because that's where I'm in relationship to all others. The sacral is the energy center right below your belly button. The color associated with is orange. It brings in a sense of connection and sacred connection to all that there is. In life, we relate through our sacrals. This is where we feel the deep feelings. And a lot of our trauma, especially from sexual abuse, gets stored in our belly. A lot of guilt, a lot of shame could be there. And when I often am being accused or having names being called at me, I will have to do some sort of emotional freedom tap-in. And so I begin with just a breath, breathing into my sacred heart, asking to connect to my sacral. I might say these mantras that are really positive. I am safe. I am protected. In all directions of time and space, I am safe from all harmful energy. The spaces underneath the eyes are another acupressure point for EFT. And so we would just point our fingers and tap, right? And we can say, it is safe to be powerful now. I am a heart-centered, powerful being. My voice deserves to be heard. I am respected, and I respect others for their differences of opinions, beliefs, and perspectives. I know that we are one. And then we can tap above the lip and say, when I speak my personal truth, which causes no harm to any others. We are one with the divine, and I am sending love out through the vibrations of my words, which are my truth. Right here on our chin. It is safe for me to stand in my powerful being. I am strong, I am courageous, and it is safe for me to be vulnerable at this very historical, monumental time and space, even when others don't agree or don't see who I really truly am. It's okay. Not everybody is on the same page or level of consciousness and awareness. I understand we are all one, and we are all where we need to be, exactly in the perfect place that great creator has created for us. This is an opportunity. We have spaces right here that are soft when you touch, like it's tender right there. So I will just place in here, I respect all cultures and religions, all differences of opinion, as long as it causes no harm to any. And when I speak truth, I ask the bigger questions to divulge the shadow in every conversation. I mean no harm. I represent clarity and truth, and I want to get to the sacred heart. And the quicker for all of us, the better, right? We have some underneath our arms, so we just might say it is, I am love. 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 Then we have underneath our breastplates right here, it's a bone, and you can just say, I am a multidimensional being who is a healer, where it is safe for me to heal thyself by moving my energy. So we just say affirmations. I am powerful. I am safe. I am love. I am light. I am multidimensional. I am connected to source. I am connected to the divine. I am God's child. And then there's one place on the side of our hands, right? And so we'll just do this. It is safe for me to speak my truth now. And as I do, I learn through others of how to become a better, best version of myself. I am open to learn how to improve the quality of my communication, the vibration of my energy, and the delivery of these thoughts, emotions. And I'm so grateful and so humble to know that I am not perfect, and none of us are, and that I can make room for differences of opinion and stand in my own uniqueness and allow others to be unique as well. So that right there just shifts out that energy of the old stagnant ways of viewing myself that to me are patriarchal. We are diminishing the patriarchal paradigm. And the patriarchal paradigm is a view base that we allowed for centuries. It's the toxic male that is patriarchal. That is what we are ending, where the man rules, the man speaks, the man runs everything, the man is in leadership, the man is of power, the man is right, the man is correct, follow the man. Oh my God. All men were not created, we were created equal in the eyes of great creator, and somehow society allowed men to think that their way was better. And men in nature, the masculine energy, is that which is of logic, of the mind. It's the creator. It is the arrow that in Qigong we learned the masculine energy would be like an arrow that shoots across the night sky, bring in that birth of creation. In this world, we speak about masculine energy and feminine energy, and feminine energy is the great mystery, the great void. It's an emptiness, right? And even dark would be associated, the color. And for the male, it would be gold or white, right? One male represents the action, the penetration of a thought and an idea, and the female is the vessel that is holding the great mystery, that is ready to birth and nurture all that comes through. And the divine feminine is right now, and has been for eons, considered to be a woman, and the masculine energy was considered to be a man. Today we have LBGQT, and things are in a crossfire there. So we're no longer just speaking about a man and a woman with masculine and feminine energy. We need to know the qualities of the energies that every human being on this world possesses. And an example of that, to be responsible here and also vulnerable as a teacher, I myself, as a Libra, as a woman, I hold a lot of masculine energy. And so these last couple of years has been able to tap into the ability to be more of a woman. You see, as a child, nobody took care of me and I was neglected. And if I wanted anything in this world, I was told at the age of 12, what are you waiting for? I was crying, looking out the window, crying about my mother's death, feeling all alone and sad in this world. And I heard this voice clear as day. What are you waiting for? And my response is like, somebody's coming to help me, right? Like, this is bullshit. I've been sitting here for 3 or 4 years and nobody cares that I'm suffering. My mother's gone. Nobody takes care of me. And I'm being abused. And Great Creator told me in that very moment that if you want something in this life, I am so sorry, but you're going to have to be the one to go out there and create it. It doesn't exist right now. So go. Figure out how to get what it is that you desire. And at a really young age, I took that as, you better go and become your own boss. And I did. I learned how to speak very quickly to people, how to ask for exactly what it is that I wanted. And I knew nobody was going to give me anything that I desired. So I kind of trained myself to be like the man in this world, the go-getter, the motivator, the co-creator, the one that's out there doing all the things. And a lot of people did their best to stomp all over me. Those of us that have a childhood history of being abused, we got caught up in many loops and patterns and behaviors that made us a constant victim. I was looped into being a victim for decades because of that childhood abuse. And in my era, in the 80s and 90s where I was living, I had spiritual connections with the divine, with Mother Earth, with information that came to me mysteriously through the realms of spirit. So the way that we are asking all of humanity to respond from the sacred heart is tapping more into that divine feminine energy of the sacred heart. The masculine energy is associated with the logic and the mind, the doing, the action. And the female is more about nurturing, loving, having compassion, holding the space, the great mystery, the great void, the vessel of mother, the vessel of father. So as we are looking at how people are responding or acting or projecting or judging, whatever it is that they're doing, just know that that is a reflection of who we were, who we are, or who we have been raised by. So there could be a reason why we're being confronted with being triggered, having somebody attack you, whether it's verbally, psychically, emotionally, mentally, or physically. The way that people attack other people are in all of these ways that they don't physically talk about in school when you're raising yourself up. But we need to know that the way that people speak has a tone of energy. The words that they choose have a certain particular meaning and a context. The body language is one of the most biggest ways that we know that somebody's not really in right alignment with the words that they're speaking. So it's just an energy. And whenever that energy proposes itself to you through another, it's just a moment to reflect back into the heart and respond from your heart in that sacred feminine way that whether you're a man or a woman, we all have the capacity to do. A woman has the capacity to tap into her energy of being more direct like a man and saying no. And right now, our roles have been reversed through, oh my God, I would say for the last century, things have gotten construed with the divine masculine and the divine feminine, confusing. And at this point, as human beings, we are given free will and we're being asked to respond from the sacred heart with that free will. If we can all do this a little bit more and more every day, I'm sure that we'll come into years of success ahead of us, in every sacred circle, in every community, in every state, in every country. There's conflict and there is resolution. And it's not always necessary for us to confront the other person that triggered us by saying something disrespectful or an assumption or a judgment that they may have shared with you that's not correct. My lesson today was you don't always have to share that information, because sometimes just walking away and holding space for that individual and saying a sacred prayer to great creator, I see exactly where this individual is. I may not know everything about who they are. So I give this to you, great creator. My inner child feels really threatened by the way that this person spoke to me, and it is judgment that I don't agree with. There were days that I lived on this planet where I behaved just like her. And there were many times that I realized that I was wrong for what I was thinking. Therefore, I can have compassion for this woman based on her own injury and wounds where she's not accepted for who she is. If somebody says you're projecting, what are the chances they are? High. Because if they can't take responsibility for an interaction that happened between you and them, they're not evolved enough to take responsibility, and it's not your business to explain to them that they're wrong. We don't have to beat other people over their head with our truth, because it's not our business how people are either going to choose to evolve, do their shadow work, or not. We don't have control over how other people are going to be. There's no way we could ever be, because there's so much when it comes to one individual. And we really need to honor and lean into, interesting. That's the way you're going to respond to me? Interesting. I've walked away from a couple of great people that have huge followings because of the way they spoke to me. Once somebody shows you who they are for the first time, you can trust that's who they are. And it's not your job to change them. And if you choose to not engage with that individual, you will not take on their projections, judgments, and fuckery, literally. So so it's not like running away from the people, but it's saying a prayer, bowing into your heart, feeling all the feelings, and doing whatever it takes to clear your own energy field, coming back into balance. And when you choose to not be part of a circle or be in a relationship with another, it's not you running away. It's you choosing love over dysfunction. And we have the opportunity right now to choose what is healthy and best for us as opposed to what is not. I want to give thanks because I feel really complete here. I want to give thanks to all my benefic guides and ancestors. We honor you. We love you. We thank you. We respect you. Aho. Ahe.